Hey, everybody. Welcome to Rough Stuff, the podcast where we invite comedians and our friends on to tell embarrassing stories about our childhoods. I'm your co-host, Bridget Greenberg, and I don't know. I had one and I lost it. I lost it entirely. Oh,
okay.
Man. It's escaped from my brain.
This is why we rehearse.
Yeah, I should think of one. I was like, let's just skip it. I don't need one. I've done enough.
Let's just keep all of this too, I think.
This is embarrassing. I'm Bridget Greenberg and I'm unprepared for my own podcast.
She's never listened to an episode, never once.
I can't listen to this. It's my voice. Well, that's my co-host.
Okay.
You take over. You're better.
Okay, I'm Sarah Griffith. And
Cool.
My embarrassing fact that I prepared before the episode started is that when I was a little kid, I used to just eat random food off the floor.
Ew.
Yeah.
Just random what you found. Well, that's horrifying. But better than I am still, so I don't know why I'm judging. And with us is, you know him from his work at College Humor. It's Willie Muse. And I'm going to put him on the spot after I told him to be prepared for a thing that I myself was not prepared for.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, I used to... You gave me an example of what kind of embarrassing thing to think of, and that just made me remember, flooding back how aggressively I used to do the Macarena at every bar mitzvah I was ever at, in a way where I was really proud of it, and now am horrified by the mere fact that I would make sure that I got pulled up on stage by doing the Macarena every time I went to a bar mitzvah.
How do you do the Macarena better than other people?
This is my question. Yeah.
I think you just get really into it. I was younger at the time of the Macarena's heyday, so I think that DJs were a little more prone to being nice to me, and if you just kind of put your whole heart and soul into doing the Macarena, you'll get.
Are you
eventually.
Violently putting your hands out, violently crossing them over?
Probably. I think just the fact that I think in the Macarena, there's one or two rounds where everyone's joined in, and then after a certain point you kind of get bored with it, and then people fall. I think you got to stay through till the end. Don't lose your spirit. Put everything you have into doing the Macarena, and then you can get noticed and talk about it in an embarrassing moments podcast.
Great.
Years later.
Good job.
Did you throw just as much effort years later when the Macarena was replaced with the slide?
Cupid
to
Shuffle?
The left. No, not Cupid Shuffle.
The cha-cha slide, of course.
The cha-cha slide, yeah.
Okay, at that point my coordination had started to give, and so I wasn't able to compete in that. And also I had developed shame. So dancing in front of everyone.
What's that
was
like,
not,
developing shame?
Oh, it's awful.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
one day I'll get
all
there,
consuming.
I think.
I don't think you will. I know you well enough. I have a ton of shame. It haunts me. It's how I live I honestly think if I didn't have it, I might shrivel up and die. I don't know who I'd be as a person if I wasn't just
You'd
a shame-filled
be
monster.
Me, Bridget. That's who you'd be.
Yeah. I kind of thought maybe it would be a nice life if I wasn't constantly mortified by myself and my own actions. But I'm looking at Sarah Griffith, and grass isn't that greener.
Yeah.
That to me, not having I envy you, but it's also I can't possibly comprehend what your brain is like. It's just so different from mine if you're not fully just thinking about everything you're ashamed of at all times.
Here's the thing. It's okay if you don't have shame, but you do have to have self-awareness. I think that is critical, and self-awareness oftentimes lends itself to shame.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
Brene
fair.
Brown.
You know what?
This is my podcast.
know what? That's such a good knowing you. This is me therapizing my co-host, so bear with us. That's such a good. That's why I can stand being around you, because you're self-aware.
Bridget,
I can be like, hey,
honestly, you're saving me a lot of money, because it was either go to therapy this week or have you talk this out on this show. So thank you.
Yeah, me being like, yeah, because Sarah will go off and like I've seen her just like we talked about Harry Potter and then she did a full scene by herself, like a 3-person scene, and then like we just turned around and we're like, hey Sarah, you have to stop, and she was like, yeah, you're right, and that was cool.
Okay, I was
doing the Harry Potter, yeah,
at least drunk.
The doing the Harry Potter scene part wasn't cool, but it was cool that we were like, hey, shut up now. And you're like, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Fair.
I should shut up now.
Yeah, when people tell me to shut the fuck up, it's like, you know what? I get it. You're right. I should. I will. I'll just stop.
But Willie, now that I've thoroughly blasted Sarah and a little bit myself, let's dive into your childhood shame.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
What, like, describe what you were like as a child, like, or as like your peak, awkward phase.
Those are two different
These are different,
questions.
yeah.
I might still be in my peak awkward phase,
sure,
as far as I know. So like as a child, if that macaroni story had no other indication, I was a very loud child. I was a very no shame child. I liked attention. I would do whatever I could do to get it. Of course. I figured out when I was young that like I could understand human emotions through like making people laugh. Right. So I was like, okay, there we go. And then so then I would be very, very outgoing, and like I just assume everyone's my friend. And then somewhere along the line, I realized that not everyone was my friend and not everyone was loving everything that I did. So I kind of became like the very hyperactive, loud fat boy that I had been, was sort of like trapped in a very like shame-filled, shy person who wasn't sure, who was like always trying to be loud, but never sure if he was like allowed to be loud. So it was just like a weird mishmash of that. And then that sort of leads into high school. But that's sort of the two stages of me when I was a child. Are very loud and then very quiet, but wanting to.
Yeah, it sounds like you overcorrected.
Yeah, I think so. I think that my therapist would agree with you.
That's what Rough Stuff is truly all about. It's about
it's Sarah and I playing therapist
and giving not medical advice to people, but saying buzzwords and putting them into context that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, you guys took my insurance, so it worked out.
Because we're gonna steal your identity. Sorry, that has nothing to do with that.
I just taxes.
That's for other things.
I hope you do more with it than I did. So.
Sure. That makes sense. I feel like I went through, like, I think I can pinpoint, like, I went through that evolution where I was like, oh, I'm funny, let me be the most joke in whatever I could be. And then I realized it was one year at a summer camp. I was on the plane back from the next year to go back the next year. And it was like on the plane on the way to Maine to go to summer camp. I was like, oh, wait. And like just having flashbacks, I was like, oh, wait, everyone hated me. And I didn't I had no realization until I got there. And then I became very like, all right, I'm going to just like tone it down. Slide in a joke.
You have a memory of the first time you ever experienced social anxiety.
That couldn't have been the first time. I mean,
I think I have one of those too. Yeah. I remember, so in my there was like a contest at my school every year to do like like you could wear green on St. Patrick's Day, and then like the more green you were, you could win a prize. Ooh. And so one year I just like was like, I'm gonna go to like Party City the night before, get everything green that they have, and then like they called me up on stage being like, you won, like I didn't even win the main prize, but I like walked around all day in the most ridiculous like green robe, like sparkly hair, and then I just remember like standing in front of people and like everyone staring at me and being like, oh, I should be embarrassed right now, and just like terrified. And then I think that was like I developed like anxiety that I don't even know if it's anxiety, but certainly like, oh
yeah,
I had a realization.
When
like,
it's when it comes to you, not even after the fact, because that's like another beast when like you realize after the fact, but during the fact when you're already in the middle of the thing and there's no backing out now, and you're like,
I've had that experience on several occasions where, like, literally what you just said, that moment of recognizing, like, I should be embarrassed by this. And now I am. Actually, now that I've realized that I am, actually.
Right. And there's nothing you can do. It's not like it's not that you've moved past the moment. It's that you're still in the moment and you're stuck. You're like, well, we're going to have to play this out because I can't. You could, I mean, you can't double down and you can't do less at that point, so you just got to ride it out, and that is
you have to commit. You always have to commit. You can't just bail, because that is embarrassing. Committing is at least respectable. Bailing, that is truly embarrassing.
Oh, I'm a bailer. I bail. I'm a big time. I'm Bridget-sized cartoon hole in the wall, like leaving in a situation. I bail hard.
I picture you in a cloak, and you like put the cloak above your head, and you like disappear like a full magic trick, like you completely vanish.
No, it's more of an awkward like I'm gonna go. Right.
Your papers are falling everywhere. You're picking up your glasses. Coffee just spilled.
Yeah, you become a full cartoon character and like just like it's just bad. I'm gonna leave. I'm so sorry, everyone. But yeah, is there? I mean, certainly there seems like a couple, but like, is there a moment that that sticks out to you?
It's okay. Well, it's so weird, and like I'm like right even in the moment being like, should I even use the one that I like picked, because I like thinking about this, I've realized, like thinking about what I was going to talk about, I realized like either I'm like so constantly embarrassed that like the like funny embarrassing thing like washes over me, or I'm like so like, or I take it the other way, it's just like deep shame. So I felt like I couldn't think of like funny ones. I was just like sitting there just being like, should I tell like the most shameful thing about my life, or should I like come up with like, and like I was like thinking, as like I almost stole my brother's, because my brother has a very good like embarrassing funny story that I was like witness to, and I was like, should I pass it off as my own and then like come back on the podcast and then like tell about my real embarrassing story, which is like passing off my brother's embarrassing fact.
That a deep con.
Yeah.
Long game. I love it.
Wow, yeah.
But so like, and then like the first one I thought about was it was like, and I don't even know if this is gonna like make any sense, but like it was when I was at cross country camp, and there was this really nice guy in cross country camp, but like, so there was like bunks, like friend groups would like sort of like pick cabins, and then there was like there's like the really like straight boy cabin that was like really loud and kind of ran things,
the frat
and then
house.
there was my cabin, which was not that, it was more quiet, listening to the Hairspray soundtrack kind of stuff. And I was like, we were with them all week, and like it was friendly, like my school was pretty friendly, but like we were easily annoyed, and we were easily annoyed by them because we had been with them all week and we weren't really used to it. And like there was this one guy who was also named Willie, and he it was like the nicest kid in the world, but he was like with that group,
right?
And one day they were kind of like going around to everyone being like, do you want, like, we're gonna order pizza and we're gonna charge like $2 a slice, and it's gonna be like a money making scheme, and like everyone's gonna get in. And they were like asking everyone, and so Willie comes knocking on our cabin door, and like I open it, and I had heard them like asking for money all day, and so I just like, no one wants your stupid pizza, go away, please leave us alone. And then he meekly pulls out and he's like, he pulls out what was my cell phone and is like, you left this on the bus. I was bringing it back to you. And he handed it to me, and like I was just like, oh, I'm an asshole.
Ooh, yeah.
And he was like, he truly the nicest kid in the world.
Yeah.
And like even like among a group of like friends that like annoyed me was never annoying.
Right.
Or no, I was just like, it was one of those moments where it's kind of like, okay, I'm gonna take the reins. I'm gonna say what everyone's thinking. I'm gonna be like the hero of my cabin, and I'm just gonna chew them out and like tell them what they need to hear.
Yeah.
And he was doing a nice thing for me that
that's something that I feel like we come across a lot, is like when you accidentally bully, because you're like, I gotta stand up for myself, or I gotta like make an impression, and then you just you're being an asshole instead of like doing the thing you thought you were gonna do.
I truly think so. Like, I definitely have really bad social anxiety, and I think it is in part just because every time that I've tried to step out of that box, it's like, oh no, I'm bad at it. Like, I'm just genuinely bad at like not being terrified of everyone. So it's like a learned behavior where I'm just like, I think this is just best for everyone that I'm a social like introvert mess type of a person.
I also feel like, and maybe this is something we also talked about, that like it adapts into your personality. Like if you're an awkward kid growing up, you either are maybe not full of shame enough to like move past that, or you just internalize and be like, well, I'm awkward and now that's my personality, so I'm just gonna like learn how to integrate this in a way that works for me now as an adult.
I think it's definitely like, I feel like everyone's personality is kind of like a puzzle piece.
Yeah.
And like one side is like your childhood, that like it's like you're sort of like the reflection of your childhood. Like two sides are your parents. Like there's like a friend side or something, and it's just kind of like everything. Like every time I go to therapy, every time I'm just like, oh, this is like a direct reflection of this, and it's like almost so it's like disappointingly simple every time.
Isn't it though?
Where it's just like, oh, I should have known that. Like, and then you go in, you're just like, oh no, that was obvious. Like I'm acting like this way because like my dad acted this way, and like it's and
it's so disappointing. I'm like, oh, so like every experience I had fucked me up, every single one.
Yeah.
Even ones that I thought were nice somehow have reflected in why I'm a anxious, sweaty mess all the time.
It's almost it's like I feel like I would have gotten a lot further along in like my own self-development if I wasn't like every time I think about like what would have been the big defining moments of my life, I'm like always picturing like a movie or like some like huge like dramatic thing, and it's like, oh no, it's because remember that one time you like forgot your backpack one day and you like had to like call home and get it, and like you like didn't get the phone right away, so now you're really anxious about like missing phone calls or whatever. And it's like, oh, okay, it's all like the butterfly effect.
The thing about therapy is that there's obviously no shame in going to therapy. If anything, the opposite. I think it's awesome. I think it's very respectful. It is a little bit embarrassing though, because you're just paying someone to say things that actually are obvious, but they're only obvious after they've said it out loud, right? Like, it's like, oh my God, yeah, duh. Okay, I'm glad I pay you to tell me shit that is like, yes, I should know this.
Yeah.
No, like therapy life hack, and this is probably terrible to say, but I felt like I've got better at therapy when like there was a period where I kept like not like I treat it like I'm a kid at school almost, and like I kind of know the answers he's looking for a little bit.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's like I feel like I avoided giving those answers for a while because I was like, oh, those are too simple. He doesn't want to hear that. Like I don't want to waste his time with that. But like he's literally just like fishing for like say this, and then we can progress to the next round of our conversation.
Yeah, because they're guiding you
it's
to
much more
breakthrough.
streamlined version.
Yeah, they're like they're guiding you, so they are prompting you to say certain things, but it's like it's not a trick question. They're trying to help you understand.
But it feels like it every goddamn time.
It does feel like a trap. It does feel like a trap. I saw this thing online that was like, yes, I've made my therapist laugh. I'm winning therapy. It's like that. I totally feel the same way.
Yeah. Oh. They're the toughest audience you can get. They do not find you they don't find you charming like everybody. Like I've been able to fool everybody else into thinking I'm charming.
Have you ever been told? Have either of you ever been told like you don't have to be funny right now?
Oh no!
Oh, okay, just me.
Great. I wish I was told. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Oh, I was gonna say this last week. My therapist told me he has trouble understanding what I mean when I talk a lot of the time. So that was my.
Oh.
Where I think that like he like. Well, you forget that they're people as well. So like I go into therapy being like, oh, he's like completely in control of the situation. He knows exactly what's going on, and like I realized like. I was like, he was just basically just trying to figure out a nice way to be like, yeah, you've been rambling in a lot of our sessions, and I don't know what you're saying a lot of the time.
Oh my god,
and, like,
I have a hard time not asking how they are. Like,
yes,
going back, I awful. I can't. An hour of just me. Like I'm so used to being like, and how are you? And what's going on with you? It's so weird.
Every time he says, "How are you?" I say, "I'm good. How are you?" And then I'm like, "Shit, should I have said that?
Yeah.
Am I like being too personal? Does he think I'm gonna like start stalking him or something?"
Yeah.
And then the next week I won't say it, and I'll be like, "Why didn't I? I'm such an asshole. Like I should ask him about his day." He's a person.
Yeah. How's your family?
My version of that is I make this statement a lot of like. You know, this I've been feeling, but I'm sure like everyone probably feels a little bit of that right now. Like I try to make it like a general, like, come on, you know what I'm talking about. Get in this conversation with me.
I always do like
you're paying them to listen. Like literally, this is their job.
I like constantly am privilege checking myself in therapy, like a good woke white woman being like, well, it wasn't that bad. Like it was still like pretty fine. And they're like, well, no, it like had an effect on you. And I was like, no, but like in the grand, like no one hit me, you know?
Yeah, right. Like it's like, you know, it's like I'm feeling this way, but I guess like I do still have my job and I have my benefits and stuff. And it's like, this is not like it's literally like the one place on earth where you have carte blanche to just like bitch and moan and just like express literally how you're feeling with zero shame attached, and yet we as human beings are so socialized to be that way and apologetic all the time that even when we are physically paying a professional who has been to school for a long time and this is their life, it's still like, oh, but you know, I mean, have you been feeling that way too? Like, no, that's not the fucking point.
I do that too. Like I feel like my version of that is like I will have my problem in my head and then I'll say it like, well, I mean, this is obviously silly. Like this is obviously silly.
Yeah.
Like I'll like talk about it like, oh, I know I should be like past this problem. And then I won't actually talk about the problem enough because I'm just like, well, obviously my feelings weren't valid there. So I'm not like, we don't even talk about it, but like, I'll like bring it up and it'll be like, just like talk about what you want to talk about. Like, I definitely feel like, and this might be in my head, but I definitely feel like I annoy my therapist a lot of the time.
That's 100% in your head.
where I feel just like, I'm just like, okay, like I want to tell him like, you can talk you know, like I want him to be like, you can talk to me, like anything that I'm like, anything you feel about me, like feel free to tell me because I am like, I'm here for you. This is a two-way street. And he's just kind of, he's very quiet, as therapists I think are wont to do. And I am terrified of it every time because I just, like I said, like I think one of the things that I broke through in therapy is I think one of the reasons that I am into like comedy and making people laugh is just because I have no idea how to read people otherwise. And true. I think like somewhere earlier I was just like, okay, laugh means good.
Yeah.
Like that's like kind of it's the same reason why I just got a cat and I did not expect myself to love having a cat, but like having a cat is great because like if you pet them, they'll start purring, and then you'll know you're like treating them good, and then if you don't want it, they'll just like attack you and like be like go away, and it's like it is the easiest thing in the world to read. And I'm just like, so much of my life is just me being like, I have no idea how to read a human, like a human being that's in my presence, and just trying to figure out like what that.
A laugh is a very like easy, like, oh yeah, I'm accepted. Great.
Yes.
Yeah.
You liked what I said. That's good. Otherwise, I have no idea. But now I'm very curious because it seemed like you had a couple of things, and I don't know if you still want to like blow up your brother's spot.
Yeah, I am curious about how you were gonna.
I'll tell my brother's story. I have two brothers, so you don't know which one it is.
Okay. But they will know.
They will know, and like I'm happy. It's my favorite story in the world, and it's like it shouldn't be because it's like okay, so funny start to a story. My uncle died of brain cancer, and it was
oh my god, Willie, that's so funny.
a very right? Okay, it just gets better from there. But it was like a very, very long, drawn out like process, and like he was young. I was going to school nearby him, so I would drive in to see him a lot, and sort of like it was like and like a huge Irish family, a lot of people there, and he was young, huge impact on his community, the most crowded funeral I've ever seen. Top 5 saddest days of my life, if not the saddest. And so like I said, like a lot of people were really like touched by him. Like the funeral was a lot of like trying to work as many people as could be in as possible. Right. And one of the things that they decided to do was for the readings, he had a lot of godchildren. And they were I'm one of 36 cousins. So like there's one of 36 cousins, a lot of kids in my family. A lot of them share the same name because Irish people are not creative when it comes to naming. So it's like everyone is Robert. I think I was the only William for a very long time, but eventually I got dethroned. So my brother, who is older than me by like 6 years, so he probably would have been like, he was a comfortable adult at the time that this happened. He shares a name with the youngest cousin of all of us, who was like 11 at the time. And so the funeral, they said, and now for a reading from his godchildren. And I don't think they said godchildren. I said, now for some readings by blah, 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 blah. And then they said my brother's name. So without thinking, my brother stood up, walked down towards the pulpit in front of like the most crowded funeral I've ever seen in my life, and then got there, realized that they were talking about the younger child who obviously had been asked to read a thing in front of everyone, and just happened to share the same name as my brother. And so he had to do a walk of shame down this like horribly tragic funeral in front of everyone, and me and my brothers are cracking up the entire time, and my mom is there cracking up, and my aunt, who was the widow, also cracking up. Like she was like, everyone in their family was just like, that was the funniest thing that has ever happened. I will bring it up anytime that I can. It was just like, it was one of those moments where it's just like, oh, we all needed to laugh right now, and then like the funniest, most embarrassing thing happened to my brother, who after the fact we're just like, what did you thought that they were just gonna like surprise you with a reading? Like you didn't think to be like no question. He just got up, started walking.
That was Michael. What was his plan when he got to the stage?
I don't know. the joke we said is that like we're excited that he was not named after the guy who did the eulogy, because like that would have been
he would have gone up there and just freestyled a eulogy.
Got up there, had to wing it. But it is. I mean, there is nothing funnier than watching someone do a walk of shame. Yeah. Just like watching someone just like not sure what to do, knowing like I need to just get out of here right now. And I really enjoyed it, and it was I wouldn't say it was worth it, but it was definitely a highlight of this tragic funeral that I went to.
Honestly, I think funerals are actually pretty ripe with comedy because you're right. Like, people are looking to laugh. People are looking for, like, something else to think about and put their attention to. So your brother gave everybody a gift that day.
Yeah.
Oh, it was, yes. And it definitely is, like, that is when you, like, by the same token of me, like, not of, like, me being able to, like, kind of gauge people's, like, self by getting them to laugh. It's like you realize, like, more and more when you get, it's like, oh, there is a reason. Like, I feel like you get into, like, comedy at, like, before you actually understand why comedy actually has, like, a purpose to it.
Right.
Like, why it, like, you get in, like, I feel like a lot of times it's like I'm getting in because this is sort of, like, where I feel like I kind of belong. And then, like, I feel like a lot of me growing older is just kind of, like, realizing more and more, like, okay, no, I'm not the, like, biggest asshole in the world for wanting to be in comedy. Like, I'm not, like, there's a purpose behind it. There's, like, an actual, and seeing it, like, being in a moment where it's like, oh, people do need to laugh right now. You realize it's like, oh, there is a reason why we are, like, why, like, laughter is important.
It's catharsis.
And why, seriously, it's like, it's like, I don't know that we would have been able to, like I feel like I blocked out a lot of that day. Like, I feel like I feel like I mean, especially at funerals, it feels kind of like you're at a moment where it's just like everyone feels like they're on the same playing field. Like, you kind of just know everyone is thinking the same thing. Everyone is kind of there for the same reason. And then, like, when you add, like, kind of when you're there, when you're kind of all in, like, that, like, gallows humor mode, like, it's the humor is, like, the funniest thing in the world to you, because it's like I need this,
right?
And, like, also just like you kind of like another feeling of, like, nothing else to lose,
right?
Like,
truly,
like there, it's like laughter can only be good right now. Like, laughter is, like, and I feel like I brought that story up a bunch of times, and I feel like everyone, because I like to embarrass my brother, but every time I do it, everyone always has their own version of it.
This is not a funeral story, but I don't know why this made me think, maybe just because, like, brother in a religious setting, but it was my my brother's bar mitzvah, and during your bar mitzvah, at some point you have to carry the Torah around, and, like, everyone, and you walk around the aisles, and everyone, like, kisses the Torah, and when you do that, the Torah is, so it's not just a scroll, they put it in, like, they dress it up nice. It's I think we've posted a picture of me holding this Torah I'm talking about on the site. And, like, so it's like there's, like, this big sleeve on it, and then there's a crown on it. It's strange when you say it like that, but yeah, it has, like, jewelry on it. And it's very, very heavy, and you're 13 and not that strong. And I remember at my brother's bar mitzvah, I mean, also, if you look at the picture on our Instagram of me holding this Torah, you can see I'm supporting it with, like, the full weight of my body.
It's not only your two hands are holding it, but you also have a prop on your hip.
It's my hip.
You are using 3 of your limbs to hold the Torah.
It's at that point, it is the same weight as you are, as a skinny 13, like a lanky skinny 13-year-old. It is you weigh the same as that thing. And I just remember, so they're handing my brother the Torah, and he's looking at where my family's sitting in the front, and he has this look of panic in his eyes. And I couldn't tell, and he kept, like, signaling what it seemed like to me, but I was like, he can't be signaling to me. How can I help? I'm your younger sister. I'm less strong than you are.
Yeah.
And he kind of, like, and I didn't get it. And then finally he was like, Bridget. And I realized he needed I was supposed to help him. So I just, like, took the crown of the Torah off to kind of lighten the load. And I had to just, like, follow him around the temple while all these, like, old people were, like, kissing the Torah. with their Sidors, their Bibles, I guess. Just like holding the crown behind him, walking around like I'm helping. As I just saw him like panic.
That sounds adorable.
Yeah, it was a true Greenberg moment of like this. And also, if you drop the Torah, I think you can't like eat for 40 days while the sun is up or something.
Damn.
There's some like weird thing.
There were stakes.
Yeah, there are stakes. Yeah, it's really bad if you drop it. I think everyone who witnesses it drops like can't eat either. Maybe I'm wrong, but like it's like a big deal if you drop it.
I mean,
for
of course,
everyone.
it sounds like something you wouldn't want to do. I just didn't realize it had such a consequence attached to it. Instead of just
exactly. Well,
the
that's
sheer humiliation of dropping this religious text that is sacred.
Yeah, and it's also like the scroll itself seems like it's ancient. Like even if it's not, even if it was like a new Torah, it's a scroll on 2 pieces of wood and like this weird paper. Like you're like, this will certainly turn into dust if anything happens to it.
Yeah,
I have such bad dropping things anxiety. You've literally just made my palms sweaty.
Yeah. And I have like sweaty, shaky hands that can't hold anything. So it's like, well, now I can't. Like I was holding onto that thing for dear life. I was like, now I can't be the one. I almost let him drop it.
But I feel like it's almost like when you're a kid too, like big moments like that, like a bar mitzvah or like a birthday, feels so much like bigger.
Yes.
To it's not like I think that's why I hate birthdays now, and I think
I thought you said Earth Days.
No, I love Earth Days. I love Earth Days. Favorite day of the year. But no, like I think it's like after I think when I was a kid, I just kept like feeling such like a weight on my shoulders every time there was like an event. Like I liked Christmas because I sort of could fade into the background and do what everyone else was doing. But every like birthday or like graduation or what, I was graduating all the time when I was a kid. But every single time that there was like an event like that, I hated it, and I still hate it to this day, just because it feels like such like that, like all eyes are on you, and like you're gonna like drop something, and it's going to stick with you for the rest of your life. And like especially with birthdays, I just feel like the idea of having a birthday party that's my birthday party. Every time I've tried it, I'm just like, I am doing nothing but worrying about other people having fun right now, and like feeling like I need to be there. Like, are you okay? Like, this is a reflection on me. Like, I hope you're all having fun. And like, it's always just like awful. I'm just like, I would rather go to dinner with the people that I already see all the time and be done with it. Like,
I think annually, each and every one of us as human beings experience peak embarrassment. And it is the moment where everybody, it doesn't matter if it's at a party, if it's your office, wherever you are, it's the moment where everybody is singing the birthday song to you, and you just have to stand there and take it.
It's the worst moment in the world.
I've switched it up. I make my friends sing the chorus of All Star by Smash Mouth, because I think that's a little bit more fun and a little bit more like, we're all in this together. Because the birthday song, and like the tempo of the birthday song can be like a fucking funeral march. It could be a total dirge, depending on who's singing it. And then like when my coworkers do it to me, like, they just don't have the right pitch. Like they're all on different notes. Like it sounds bad. And you just have to sit there and like, what do? Conduct the horrible mangled choir of people singing? You're just supposed to sit there and like smile and nod in acknowledgement as everyone's happy birthday. Like, fuck me. This is like
there's
30
no
seconds.
good reaction. There's no good reaction at all. Like if it's a birthday song or even like someone is singing a ballad directly to you, there's just no good reaction to being sung to.
If anybody got on stage and was like, I'm going to dedicate this song to Sarah, I would be out. I would fly out of there. I would stand up and say no and leave.
There is nothing that upsets me more than like in like a rom-com or something where like someone has their significant other like sing a song to them, and it's like treated as the most romantic thing in the world, because every time I see it, I'm just like, I would have to end the relationship right there. I could never look at you the same way. I respect you as an artist, I'm sure, but like I just don't need you singing a song to me personally for me. I'm not a part
and
of
also, so not to brag, but that's happened to me.
Oh no.
And it was the worst moment of my life. And now I can't listen to which is a weird song, Everlong by the Foo Fighters, the acoustic version anymore.
Jesus.
It wasn't even sung like, yeah, it was the worst. It was obviously, and this is where it was obviously a summer camp thing.
Yeah.
And my summer love was gonna sing that song at the campfire, and we were like hanging out at night. He was like, I'm gonna sing this, and like started playing, and it was just like me and him in an empty gymnasium, and he was like singing the song at me, and I was like, I gotta go. I gotta go.
I do think there is like an XY axis we can create here where like actually the more people who are in the audience with you, the less embarrassing it is, because then you can kind of blend in. Yeah,
you can deflect.
Yeah.
Who's Sarah? This is so nice.
Right. I mean, thank God,
this is great. Like if this was like a concert and there was like 250 people there, that would feel a little bit better because again, no one has to know it's me. But if it's like one-on-one.
It wasn't even like he wasn't singing that song to me or like he was singing it at me. He was like, I'm going to sing this song. Obviously, I didn't write it. It's not about you. It's not for you. But like, listen to me play and sing this song. Even that was awful.
What is that song even about? I know the song and I couldn't even tell you like what.
I don't know what the context
meeting
was.
A teenage girl at summer camp.
And, okay, of course.
And that very intense crush.
Yeah, Pitchfork I think gave it a perfect 10. Actually, it's
that version. In particular, the one that was
Unplugged.
saying to me
Summer Camp Unplugged.
I
was gonna say my boyfriend told me a story of he was at his ex's friend's party, and I shouldn't be stealing a story, but whatever. And like up the ante. So this girl, it was like a very like well-to-do girl who like rented out like this like speakeasy for her boyfriend, and like midway through, apparently she stopped the thing to be like, I'm gonna give you my gift now. And she sat as everyone watched her do a jazz dance for her boyfriend, which like I could not imagine a worse present. First of all, like even from someone I love more than anything, it is. And all I can think is like, imagine having the confidence of that woman to be like, you know what people need to see right now? Me dancing for my boyfriend. Jazz dancing
too. Like I thought that story was like she did a burlesque routine, which is still embarrassing, but at least like thematic.
Yeah. Like it would be something like you'd think, okay, maybe the boyfriend does enjoy this, but no, I don't think anyone is like clanging for jazz dance, especially.
Oh my God.
She fully.
I can't.
That was.
Yeah. I can't. Oh, sorry.
No, we keep doing. She did the Megan Draper in Mad Men. If you guys, she zooed.
Jesus, I just put my jaw back on its hinges from that. That is so appalling. And I think now, Bridget, for your birthday, I'm just gonna sit in front of you and do a monologue. And be like, Bridget, this is for you. Because I guess anybody who has any kind of creative skill whatsoever can just do that and be like, it's for you. It's not for me to get all this attention and notoriety for what I'm doing. It's for you, obviously. Because who wouldn't fucking love that? Jesus, that hurts me. My soul, I feel hollow inside now that I know that's happened.
Yeah. I like again. I was not a part of it in any way, but it's like a story I was.
No,
told,
I feel like I
was
was there.
I need to carry it with me.
No, I know
the
feeling.
This very well. Like I could see what she was wearing.
It's also it made me think it's ironic now thinking as I am on a embarrassing moments podcast that like the best embarrassing moments probably don't even register as embarrassing moments to people. It's like that woman did not have an ounce of embarrassment. That was probably like a highlight of her life.
No, she probably still like looks.
And it's like,
are they still together?
I have no idea who these people are. Like, I truly am just
you need to do some research and then follow up with us because I need to see like their wedding photos and shit.
I'm sure she did a dance there too. Yeah, they don't. I think why this podcast works well with comedians is because we will have those moments and we'll put ourselves out there, and then we're self-aware or full of shame enough to then contemplate them and be like, that's embarrassing. But I think the majority of people will just be like, no, I did that and that was pretty cool. Or maybe someone will tell them that was weird. Like, maybe their friends will. I don't know her relationship with her friends, but like, certainly I would imagine that my friends would razz me if I did a dance.
Have you guys doing this? Have you gotten like more prone to embarrassment, less prone to embarrassment? Does it like anything?
Nothing.
Has it like affected you in any way?
No, it's all the same.
Okay.
I've made peace with some of my more shameful moments.
Yeah.
I haven't like woke up in a sweat thinking about like, why did I do that when I was 12 or whatever.
This show, and truthfully, like all podcasts, because all podcasts are hosted by people who are awkward and embarrassing and funny, has helped me like better soothe my anxiety embarrassments, because like genuinely every fucking person every single day is so embarrassed to exist and be perceived and engage in these social interactions. I actually just read this great Jezebel piece that says like, give it 7 seconds. Like, if you want to think about a time that you were socially anxious or like you fucked up someone's name, 7 seconds is the most time you can ever donate like how much time you can donate to that moment, because otherwise you're just going to beat yourself up over a small interaction that literally every single person every single day fucks up. Like every single person is bad at interacting with people. Like, you can't help it because we're also not like in a bad way, but we're so concerned about ourselves and like not looking like fools ourselves that like everyone's playing this game, and so everyone is bad at interacting with each other. And it's fine. It's embarrassing. Like, the embarrassment still happens, but it's like I can go to sleep at night knowing like, well, I'm not the first person in the world to embarrass myself in this way, and I won't be the last.
Yeah, I think also, and I'm kind of stealing this from, it's not even a bit, it's just I saw Sarah Silverman perform once, and she like said something where she was like, oh, I read this awful, or like saw, I don't even remember what the context was, and she's like, I just had to tell you guys that because I didn't want to be alone with it anymore. And I think about that all the, we're like, yeah, when you're embarrassed, it creates such like a nervous energy that is so palpable that
it's
like
alienating too.
Right. And why we like doing this podcast is like, I like to think it helps. Like, it just gives you a place to put that.
Yeah. Well, I will say that just thinking about this podcast, like thinking of trying to like get prepared for it and just realizing like, oh, all like, because like I like sit in embarrassment constantly, but then like actually trying to like sit down and like think about like, how are you going to explain your embarrassment to someone else?
Right.
It's so much harder. Like, it's so much like to step, like when I actually like stepped out like this, I was like, okay, either it is shame, it is just like deep shame and I'm not going to touch it, or it is like not that embarrassing. Like, you can't you can't make a story out of that. Like, you can't make, and like it's almost like that, and then it kind of like becomes a lot less strong feeling, at least for the moment. I don't know. I mean, this is all like 24 hours ago, so like I can see I don't know, but you guys may have helped me very much trying to think of like how to like process my embarrassment, because like it's usually a lot smaller than I think
sometimes it's small. Like there are, in what like the story with your brother and stuff, like there are just some moments where you're like, this was an insane thing I did, and I truly don't know what I was thinking, or why I did it, or what came over me. But somewhere in my like prepubescent or like puberty brain, I decided to do something bonkers, with no explanation, and those stories are the best.
Yeah,
where it's just like I can't like when someone's just like, why'd you do that, and you're like, honestly, no clue. My brain left my body, and it was something animalistic took over that made no sense.
And you know what? If you don't have a ton of those moments in your life, I don't think you're really living.
Yeah.
You got to go out there and make an ass of yourself every now and then, I think. In a tasteful way. I mean, as tasteful as it possibly can be. But, you know, You gotta be a fool
gotta do
sometimes.
it. I will. I remember. I mean, it was February of 2020 before. In the before times, but I remember I went to a wedding back home where like a bunch, and I saw a bunch of kids I went to high school with, and they were like. They didn't seem to go through an awkward phase, at least from my very awkward phase. I don't know what they're going through internally, but like they were cool and they were pretty and they knew how to do their hair and dress themselves. I mean, it was the early 2000s, so who really knew how to dress themselves?
True.
But by the guidelines of the time, knew how to dress themselves and what to do with their with their beings. And
a lot of pink fur.
Yeah, which I am always baffled at those people. And then I went to this wedding and I was like talking with them and I was catching up with them and I was like, "Oh, you're a boring person."
That's it. That's it.
Yeah. I was just like, you have nothing exciting to say because everything's been going pretty fine. You're not racked with anything. You have nothing. Like, you're just like, yeah, I went to law school and I got a law degree and now I'm in an office and I'm getting engaged. And I'm like, oh, well, great. We have nothing. That's great. I'm happy for you.
They're living in a Norman Rockwell and I'm living in a Salvador Dali, baby. My fucking world is twisted, bitch.
I don't even think I think I'm more of a Jackson Pollock. Just shit everywhere with no rhyme or reason. But yeah, that's what I mean. Also, yeah, what is fun about this podcast is that like almost everyone has like, yeah, I did this stupid thing or I was like embarrassed and it like kicks up. I think that's why like Sarah and I still can do this and have stories because it just kicks up like so much shit. Like you're just like, oh yeah, I was an idiot too in so many ways I haven't even realized, but I was very, very dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think also, I mean, it's I feel like so much of my life has been giving everyone else much more benefit of the doubt than I give myself, and then slowly realizing that like, oh, I just shouldn't do that, but then kind of like not really knowing how to
I'm not going to change,
like, navigate like there's a lot of stuff where it's just like I know I should like treat myself better than that, I should do all, but like not really knowing what to do, like never having like the tools to like actually follow through with what I know I should be doing. But yeah, I mean, I think everyone is a horrible mess of a human being at the end of the day. And the worst ones are the ones who don't seem like it because they either don't know it or they are hiding it a lot.
And that's the part that deserves to be celebrated when you can just be like, yeah, I'm a dummy and I'm just trying to do my best, and so are we all, and that's it's only the worst kind of people don't realize that they're a dummy.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's also the like what we were talking about earlier. I feel like the disappointing part almost about therapy is that like they tell you like, oh yeah, that's obvious, that's where that came from. Well, I'm glad I know that. Like
literally one time I was talking to my therapist about how I just get so exhausted when I get off work, and it's like I don't have any energy and I like my dishes are piling up. I need to do my laundry. Like I order food delivered a lot because I don't have energy to cook. Like I was going through this whole thing of like, I just don't know why I get so tired at the end of the day. And my therapist was like, well, is it maybe because you're tired because you just worked an entire day? And I was like, maybe it's that. Maybe it's like literally after working a 9-hour day, you might just be like regular tired, and maybe you deserve to have like a break where you just sit down and don't do anything for an hour. Like, oh, genius. I should look into that sometime. Now you might be onto something so there, true. Mister.
I literally avoided therapy for the longest time because I was so terrified of like, I don't want to go in one day and have like this big breakthrough where I'm a completely changed person and come out, and like I don't want to like discover like this, like, because I mean like I was genuinely like worried about like repressed memories or like any sort of like thing where I'm just like I become a different person. I was like and now it's just like so like gradual and boring, and I'm just like, okay, now I want to like completely be like I'm like waiting for my like moment of just like I need to change now. I need like I have things to do.
Right. Yeah. I was like ready for them to tell me how to be a different person. And I'm just kind of disappointed. I was like, oh no, you're just telling me why I am that person. Well,
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah. Getting back into, because I did like some psychiatry because I was diagnosed with like what they said mild ADD when I was a teen. Yeah, no, I just full blown have ADHD, baby. Why even try to disguise it? And so I literally went into therapy thinking like they're gonna diagnose me with clinical depression. They're gonna say that like I'm manic. Like
Yeah.
I thought like something must be wrong with me. Like there must be some kind of neurodivergence in me or something that is making me this way. And then like literally the first day of therapy, I was like, oh, I remembered I have ADD. This is actually, I just remembered now that I actually have I've already done this. And my therapist, like the experience of like learning more about ADHD has been me being like, oh yeah, I guess like I kind of sort of get it. And then like getting to the end of a session being like, oh, I'm riddled with this shit, huh? This is like my whole life is impacted by this singular thing. Like, I guess that's why I go to a doctor.
No, I literally just made a video like where I talk about this and America's Sex Top Model. It's a weird video, but it's
it makes sense to me.
It's okay. But you don't, especially growing up with ADD, you never are told sort of anything other than like how it affects you in school.
Exactly.
Or how like
exactly.
And it's so like, and I didn't even realize it until so I tried to wean off of my meds during a pandemic because I was like, I'm trying to make myself all less anxious, and like they do make me anxious.
Are you a concerted dude or are you a Vyvanse bro?
Vyvanse.
Okay, all right.
I'm a I've been through all of them, but okay, I've been on a Concerta. I've been one of them was, I think that one, is it Black and Orange? Is that Concerta?
My Concerta is
I don't know
white,
why
but I normally crush it up and snort it, so I'm not sure what color it is.
Okay, perfect. No, but I went off my my Vyvanse, and I was like, why am I feeling worse than I did before? And then I went back on, and it was just like, I'm still all of my terrible stuff, but like at least like my brain is like the analogy I use in my video is it was like my brain was a deli, and like before like having my ADHD medicine, it was like kind of someone installing one of those like take a paper number type things, and like it's just like it was a little more order, and it was a little more manageable, and like I feel like a lot of like I like never would have thought in a million years that like in hindsight, I don't know why I wouldn't have thought it, but I never would have thought that like always having your brain moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour is not going to affect you mentally somehow.
No, literally.
And but like it does, and you're just like, and I guess it's just because like you don't really think about it other than like for school.
Well, because
like,
honestly, one of the hallmark symptoms of ADHD is that like you're forgetful, and so like literally forgetting that I have ADHD is like quintessential. Like that's the diagnosis.
Oh man, it is insane. I have not known where my keys were since like June, and like I guess I don't need to as much anymore, but like I literally I bought one of those tile things to try know where they were. And then I ended up somehow I lost them, and I they were somehow on the Jersey Turnpike. This is when I lived in New York, but like I was just like, okay, I'm never gonna have keys. If I try to like fix something, I'm just going to lose them, because this is just part of your charm.
My belongings are beings of their own mind, and they will come into my life when I least expect them. Truly, that's because there's no object permanence. It's not like I'm going to put something down and be like, well, this is where this thing is forever.
Wait.
Oh man.
Oh god. Do you as someone with ADHD ever lose something so thoroughly that you think ghosts are haunting you for a minute?
No, I am convinced. First of all, I lost my water bottle somewhere in all of the laundry that I said I was going to do this weekend, but of course didn't. But literally when I was in middle school, I've always loved cameras. I've always had like a point and shoot or some kind of camera. I have like a camera collection now. I love it. I lost the charger, which this is like quintessential. I lost the charger to one camera for 3 months. It was gone in a way that I literally thought I must have left it at school and someone must have picked it up, because it's gone. And I remember this is okay. So I'm a Methodist. I was a part of a youth group. We are known as Christian Light. Other Christian denominations are like, you guys are barely Christian. And maybe just from like knowing who I am as a person, you know that I'm not like uber religious. Like I have a very secular, like smart relationship with my, okay, whatever. I literally prayed to God. I prayed to God. I was like, please help me find my charger. Please. I need my charger. Please just help me find my charger.
St.
And I
Anthony.
looked in a place I had looked before, and there was my charger. And I literally told my mom, I think a miracle has truly happened. And I am convinced to this day, God was like, you know what? Tough enough you have ADHD. Let me throw you one this time. Let me help you.
Sarah and I have always joked that we have opposite mental illnesses because I'm Lexapro hive. I am a deeply anxious wreck, and you guys just talking about not knowing where your things are, that is my nightmare. I have tabs on all my things, and if like I am uncertain of like where is that one thing that like where's that piece of paper I held on to, like it will freak me out for days that I've like lost a receipt. And
I just have to trust it'll arrive. Now truly living in a studio apartment has actually really been helpful for this, because it's like, well, I know it didn't go far. It's somewhere in this 200 square foot single room that I live in.
And yet every time you're just like impressed with yourself by how you managed to find a new place to like lose it, where you're just like, I don't have any space. Why am I losing stuff?
I will find things in locations where it's like, I don't know why this lipstick was in the back of my fridge, but kudos, Sarah. You've done it again, bitch.
You guys are stressed. If I am like slightly uncertain of where one thing is, I will not sleep that night until I find it. I have woken up.
I've been in bed all the time. We can't live together.
I mean,
like, no way.
Yeah.
After a certain point, you just kind of assume. But I'm like my boy. Like I would say the most things we fight about are just me losing stuff. Me and my boyfriend are just literally just like, he'll be like, "Where are your keys?" And I'll be like, "Why does it bug you that I don't know where my keys are?" And he's like, "Because you need to have your key. Like you need to have them." And I'm like, I don't know where they are. They're somewhere. They exist. They didn't like stop existing. I'll find them when I need to. When they need me to find them.
To my credit, no offense, Willie, but I'm pretty good about keys because my mommy installed a little key hook on my door, and if it is not there, it's nowhere, bitch. In the pandemic, I've actually have been putting my mask on inside my apartment before I walk out the door, because and putting my masks on my key hook. I think other people have been doing this too. Because literally, if it's not on when I walk out of the door, I probably will just forget to put it on entirely, and not like for any malicious anti-science reason, but simply because, I don't know.
Yeah. No, there's so many times that I've done where I'm like halfway down the hallway and I'm like, I feel more comfortable than I should be. What's going on?
My chin is cold and my nose isn't warmed by my own breath. What's going on?
I've done that with glasses or contacts, I'll say. I've gotten I've gotten into my car, pulled out of my drive, because like everything I'm nearsighted, I can't see far at all. And that distance is encroaching of what far means. Now it's like a foot away is far. But like everything I do in the morning is like A, muscle memory, or B, like pretty close to my face. And it's not until, and like, I'm not really looking far out, walking down to my car, and I will fully like pull out of my garage, look down the street, and be like, "Oh, I can't see anything," and like have to like pull over and redo my whole thing. I've gotten very far.
I will admit, I did kind of sort of lose my car keys the other day. I got into my car, I turned the car on, and then I looked in my purse for my car keys, and I was like, "Fuck! I just had them in my hands." Yeah, they were in the ignition because the car was fucking on.
Ooh.
Like I fully turned the car on, and then like my hand left my keys, and I was like, "Where are my car keys? Fuck."
In high school, once we could leave during for our free period, but you had to be back by lunch. And I was running late, and I was driving off, running late for lunch. I park my car first place I can get. And then I just run to lunch, and then I come back, and find that my car, door wide open, I did not close the door, keys in the ignition, gas on, running.
With a sign that says "Steal me."
I don't know how it didn't get stolen, and I just was just like, it was literally, I think people were just like, oh, someone must be nearby for this to be like this blatant. But it was a full hour of lunch, and I just like, I think I just sort of turned it off, closed my door, and didn't tell anyone for years, because I just like, I got over I survived this, but I shouldn't have. And, that's embarrassing.
Well, I mean, thank you so much for doing this therapy session.
Yeah, this has been
Willie.
good.
Thank you.
This has been so much fun. Glad to have you on. Tell everybody where they can find you and your work and what you're up to.
So right now, you can check me out. I think it's just my name, Willie Muse, on YouTube. I'm making videos. You'll find a graveyard of many past failed attempts at making videos, but whatever the newest ones are, I'm trying to... It's mostly me knitting while having an existential crisis.
Great.
And talking about Top Model a lot of the time, because that's a really good show.
Yeah, so good.
But if you can find it in any way that makes sense together, and that sounds like a video you'd want to watch, check it out. Willie Muse.
Awesome.
I'm so bad at plugging.
It's awful. That's why I'll say you can find me on Twitter at Bridget Tweets, and then I'll throw to Sarah, who's very good at promoting things, and why she's my partner for life.
Wow. Thank you, Bridget. I am on Twitter at sk_Griffith. I do want to plug, though, I do some voiceover work for this Instagram account called ADHD Couple, since this is relevant to literally what we've been talking about. And we've posted 2 animated videos so far. The most recent one is people who have ADHD wrote in saying, like, this is what I wish people understood about ADHD. So check that video out. It's very informative. Cool. If you have ADHD, it's very validating. It's very like, yes, me. So that's good. And then back to promoting this show, though, we are on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. It's all at Rough Stuff Pod. I'm going to be trying to post a little bit more content on our IG, so take a look at us there. And then, of course, we are on Patreon through the Small Beans Network. Great to be a part of it. If you love the content and you have like $3 lying around that you're like, I would love to support this financially, do it, baby. We love it. We got Patreon exclusive content that kicked us ass. If you can't afford to support Small Beans right now, you can do it for free by dropping us a hot 5-star review on iTunes and just go in there and be like, dude, Rough Stuff fucking rules. This is the greatest podcast of all time. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. All those things. Follow everybody and hit all hit all the buttons, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.